Welcome in. It is another NFL preview here on Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. She is Alex White. Getting closer to opening day in the National Football League, that first Sunday of September for everybody but Philadelphia and Dallas, who, of course, will go a little bit there. And, of course, how could I forget Brazil game, which we'll get to the Chiefs and the Chargers on a later program. But today, Alex White, we begin at the bottom of the NFC with the New Orleans Saints, and this was a brutal offseason, every which way you slice it. All right, they make a good hire. They hire Kellen Moore off of a Super Bowl win as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. But then everything else kind of crumbled. Derek Carr ends up retiring because of an injury that we didn't even really know about with the shoulder. Yeah, we knew he got hurt, but we didn't know the extent. He retires midstream in the offseason, and because of that, Alex, this is a very dicey quarterback situation with not a lot of experience on the roster. Two rookies and then two guys who played a little bit last year and were not particularly successful in Rattler, Hayner, and of course the two rookies, Tyler Shuck, their second-round pick, and then Hunter Deckers, who is an undrafted former Iowa State Cyclone, of course.
Yeah, it is going to be very tough. Completely new look Saints here without Derek Carr and now trying to figure out that position in the quarterback room. I am excited for Kellen Moore. We'll see how it turns out here. I think he did pretty good hiring for his OC and his DC. Doug Nussmeier will be his OC, but Kellen Moore should be calling the plays. And then DC, Brandon Staley. We know not a great head coach, but a very good defensive coordinator. So we'll see if he can help out this defense moving forward. They're going to need it because it is going to be a little bit of a struggle on the offensive side to start the season.
So let's look at New Orleans as a whole here. 5.5 is the win total. They are the longest of long shots to win it all at 300-1. They're 100-1 to win the NFC. They're 15-1 to win arguably the worst division in football. But Alex, you look at this schedule for New Orleans, and look, we assume Tyler Shuck is going to be the starting quarterback week one. He is the betting favorite at books that have that readily available. This is just one of those where you get two home games right out of the gate against NFC West teams. If you're going to have any shot of sneaking over that 5.5, which, by the way, plus 130 on the over 5.5, you got to find a way to find an upset against the two teams that ended up being the bottom two in the NFC West a year ago at Arizona and San Francisco.
Yeah, you are correct with that. I will just say I'm not very high on the Panthers. A lot of people have them as kind of their darling, making another step forward. We saw Bryce Young do a lot better last year. I pretty much have the Saints and the Panthers right there. If I was looking for a bet with this division, it would definitely be just to highlight the top two in the division and look for exactas with Tampa Bay 1 and Atlanta 2. Haven't really gotten around to find the best odds for that, but really I just think it's going to be hard for both of these teams to do much here. I do like Tyler Shuck, though. I will say I was very excited for him to go over to Louisville. Pretty decent year in his 12 games. He had 23 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, 8.7, 8.2 yards per attempt, and 63 pass completions. So I liked him in college. What can he do in the NFL? That is what we really don't know. He wasn't really projected to go high and to be an NFL quarterback. So we'll see what we get here when he's kind of thrown in there with Derek Carr's retiring.
Yeah, so Shuck is 12-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Again, the expectation that he will be the week one starter. I don't see this guy as an NFL quarterback. I see him as a backup. And look, we obviously during the draft time, New Orleans had an opportunity to pick every quarterback on the board that was not named Cam Ward. They pass on Dart. Obviously, the whole league passed on Sanders plenty of times. Dylan Gabriel as well in that mix. But I just don't see it as an NFL quarterback for Shuck. And also, to the age, at least long-term, plays a factor for me. If he was really an NFL quarterback, he wouldn't have stayed in college until he's 25 years old. So that, coupled with an offense that, look, I like Kellen Moore as a play caller. We've now seen it in multiple places where Moore has been an above-average play caller, and Jalen Hurts took another step forward with him a year ago en route to winning that Super Bowl. And you look at an offense that, look, they still have Chris Olave, even though Olave missed a bulk of last season with concussion issues. They still have Alvin Kamara, who if he could stay healthy, is still a higher end running back. They signed Brandon Cooks. They have Rashid Shaheed, who had a great start the last year. There are some weapons there where if Shuck isn't completely terrible, there is a path for New Orleans being competitive in, again, a mediocre division in the NFC South. I just think that he's not ready for the moment. And you look at the other guys on the roster. Look, we saw Rattler and we saw Hayner a year ago. Neither of those guys are NFL quarterbacks. They're backups at best.
Yes.
If those guys have to play or if one of them wins the starting job, that under 5.5, I get it. Minus 150 should be the case. They also, again, for markets, they're 4-1 to have the most amount of losses in the NFL this year. Now, the hesitation with that is they play 6 games against the worst division in the NFC. So there are opportunities. They get 2 games against Carolina. They get a game against the Titans as well mixed in there. There are winnable games that they get because of the draw they have schedule-wise. But at least on the surface, all right, skill position players, not bad.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe even above average. But I don't trust a quarterback play one bit, even with a good coach in Kellen Moore.
I will just say one positive is they should have a pretty good offensive line. They have spent enough on it. All former first-round picks.
All
and then
former first, yep.
They've got Eric McCoy at center. So, I mean, if that can help him, right? I mean, that is the number one step there to protecting your quarterback, giving him the time to make the plays. So we'll see. And I mean, not to mention Atlanta will definitely find a way to give them at least one of their 2. So that will help too. I have nothing. I am not dying to take the over 5.5. I really couldn't make a case for a whole lot of these games. I've got about 3 that are pick'em games. But I'm not dying to take the under just yet either. I kind of want to see what we have there. A lot of unknowns, right? This is a completely new team, new coaching staff, new everything. So, yeah, I'm definitely staying away from this win total.
And again, Saints a long shot in the division. They're 15-1. Tampa right now odds on favored minus 110. Atlanta plus 230 and Carolina at 4-1 in the NFC South. And look, they used their first round pick on Kelvin Banks, a left tackle. Penning is, again, you mentioned first-round pick, same with Fuga and Ruiz, and McCoy was basically a first-round pick, an early second-rounder when he was selected a few years back. Defense-wise, you give me pressure on his defense in order to perform here this year. If they're, again, I think this is the team that is most set up to have the worst record in the NFL because of the quarterback play. They won 5 games a year ago. Remember, when Derek Carr was healthy at the beginning of the year, they scored the most points in the NFL through 2 weeks. Are like, oh, the New Orleans Saints are going to be the shocking team in the Super Bowl, and then went 3-12 the rest of the way. So, again, don't overreact. And that's also kind of why I think that if you're going to get over 5.5, you got to get one of those first 2 against either Arizona or Seattle. But this defense, look, there are pieces. Again, Chase Young is still there. You have a secondary that I actually think has the potential to be pretty good. Honey Badger's back down there. Justin Reed is back down there. Their corners with Yadom and Kool-Aid McKinstry and Taylor. Like, you have a potential of some good mix of veteran and youth in that secondary that could actually be pretty good if they're able to perform on a full scale here, Alex.
What is Taylor Shuck's odds for
12-1 on Shuck?
1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, Brandon Staley, your new defensive coordinator down in New Orleans, which also concerns me a little bit.
Why?
Staley has totally fallen off the map for me. And also, too, what happened in San Francisco last year does not look particularly great for him as well. But Shuck, hey, look, going back to the offensive rookie we mentioned earlier, 12-1 on Shuck, if you think he has a shot to win the O-Rook, Alex.
Yeah, not much I could find here with the Saints. Again, I mean, it's just too many unknowns. I'm hoping. I mean, look at Bo Nix. Nobody really thought he was going to be an NFL quarterback, and did enough last year for Denver. People actually have the Broncos very high going into this year, so we'll see what we get from Taylor Shuck. But too many unknowns for me to really jump in here. If anything, I would be leaning to under 5.5 for the win total.
New Orleans at 4-1 to have to have the most losses in the NFL seems like a pretty reasonable bet. It's going to be between them and Cleveland more likely than not. Browns have a brutal schedule that I'm a little bit surprised that the Browns aren't actually the favorite because of how insane their schedule is and the question marks in their quarterback room. But the Saints' question marks in the quarterback room, you could argue actually worse because at least that Cleveland QB room has Flacco and Pickett, who are guys who have at least proven they can be capable NFL quarterbacks for a short period of time at this point in his career. There's no one in this room that has proven that so far.
No, if things go bad with Tyler Shuck, they don't have a veteran like Joe Flacco just to give it to and say, just let's
stabilize.
not get to, yes, just stabilize. Thank you. That is the word. So that is pretty scary going into the season.
Yeah, I am in the camp. 4-1 will be a bet on the most losses in the NFL for this year. Again, that means that Kellen Moore at 25-1 to be coach of the year will not be on my card, Alex. The interesting thing is, and I just want to bring up Chris Olave for a second here because Olave missed the bulk of last season with concussion issues. Just curious because of, again, we know it's hard. Get another concussion, we might not see Olave again if it happens during the season. If Olave stays healthy, I do expect a big year for him because I expect Shuck to basically just, or whoever plays quarterback, just feed Olave because he's their best weapon. 1,000 receiving yards plus at plus 150, I don't think is a terrible bet. Even with Brandon Cooks and Shaheed on the roster of two reasonable options behind Olave. But if Olave can stay healthy, I expect a big year statistically speaking, even if it means New Orleans is 3-14 or 4-13, Alex.
And I'm leaning towards that running back there in Alvin Kamara. You mentioned it. He was having an outstanding season before he got hurt. So if he can if he can stay healthy, I'm thinking more like fantasy. If you can get him later on in the draft, he could be a great piece there. Another to help Tyler Shuck in his first year. And I already brought up the O-line. So if they can get him moving, he's been a great running back for years now.
Saints 5.5 on the win total with the juice. It is It is technically the worst team in the NFL based off the juice at 5.5, being minus 150 to the under 5.5. There are a whole collection of 5.5s with different juice here at the South Point, but the Saints, the biggest favorite on the under at 5.5 entering the season. All right. So we got for you for the New Orleans Saints here in the NFC South. All 32 teams will be previewed here on this channel here at Sports by the Book. Make sure you're hitting subscribe to get the latest from us. Or if you're joining us for the first time, we are live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time with our sports betting show. A lot of baseball, a lot of football, a lot of hoops going through the summer months here on the program. And we're going to have all 32 teams, so we'll keep these previews rolling right here on the Sports by the Book channel. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again next time. Sports by the Book NFL 2025 previews.